since I laid my eyes on you, my baby. I just wanna make your dreams come true, my lady. If you low, I'll lift you up. Just let me know.
Welcome to A Goddess Life. You are a goddess, and this is your life. Welcome back, beautiful souls, to A Goddess Life podcast with your hosts, Anna, and myself, Erin. We're really feeling like we need to recap the month of July, which had the most significant and high amount of life-changing, foundation-altering, illuminating shifts that happened. I'm sure that July has been a lot for all of our viewers. I know it has been for me. And I'm sure it has been for Anna. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of shifting. We're all kind of in this shifting mode. And we just kind of want to recap the month of July so we can actually, I'm hearing that Steve Jobs quote, right? You can't connect the dots looking forward, but we're coming to the end of the July and we can turn around and connect all the dots of what just happened by utilizing the cosmic shifts and alignments, the astrological things, and just as well of our with Chiron that's just gone into retrograde. That's the deepest core wound that we all have individually, interpersonally, and collectively. And this whole month has been like a kind of like a shifting of energy to illuminate that core so that we can end the cycle, heal the wound, make sure we hold the core. It's been a month. July has been a month. How about you, Anna?
Oh, it's definitely been a month. It's been a magical month also. I can say it now, coming through it with both of my feet on the ground, but it's been illuminating, being pushed into situations, into knowings and thoughts that are quite painful to sit in, but to be able to sit in them because I know I am capable. I know I am strong enough to sit in the changes that are coming
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people we know about are in the middle of the changes, are in the middle of the big transitions that we've been talking about in previous episodes. But I am more in the start of the transitions because I know they're coming, I can feel them, I can see them, but they are not, they have not like definitely started in the physical.
Got it. But they're in process. They can't
Yeah.
start in the physical. Though it's so interesting you say that because I totally would agree with you. Like when we start a new beginning, in order to start the new beginning, which begins way before we physically actually begin the new beginning or have the pathway. Oh, so good. There's like all this energy of like, we're starting the new beginning. This has to be moved away. You have to see this clearly. That can't come along. It's like July's been this deep sifting and shifting emotionally, mentally, relationally with people, our cycles, right? We've got Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Mercury. Those four planets already were or continue to be or just came into retrograde in the month of July. That's karma, cause and effect. That's dreams and illusions, outgrown dreams, outworn dreams, illusions of the dream that never came to be true, or things that are just so unreasonable and not aligned with us to begin with, anyways. Then we've got the beautiful Mercury and Pluto. Pluto's been in retrograde for a long time, actually, a number of months. But Pluto's death and rebirth. She's the transformer, the transmuter, the real depth of it. That's been in retrograde. What needs to die, right? Let's really examine it. Let's examine our karma, our cycles, our cause and our effect, where we want to be. What do we really want? What's just an illusion that can never be the thing we want, and it's time to let go of. And then you pop in there Mercury at the tail end. Mercury is all, to me, is all about the mind. It can be both. It's a very mercurial energy, just playing on the word or the name of the planet Mercury. It can be a very mercurial energy, but it has to do with the mind. It has to do with the thoughts. It has to do with the speech. And it also has to do with the divine messenger. Like if we were to move into the Greek goddess aspect of it, that whole combination of all those things being in retrograde. What's retrograde? It's a prescription. Here's all areas of your life, your emotions, because notice Aries is playing a role this month. Cancer plays a significant role in July. And I say this month, like looking backwards at July. Let's connect the dots here. So you've got 2 planets in Aries, Chiron in Aries, and I think it's Neptune in Aries. I could be wrong. It might have been Saturn in Aries, but Aries played a huge role in all of this. So did the zodiac sign of Cancer, because it was Sun Cancer season. But Venus just shifted into Cancer. We had Mars in Taurus. All these specific signs are beginning and emotions. Like Aries is a new beginning. It's the fire to start something new. And Cancer is that deep, emotive, intuitive realm ruled by the moon and the unconscious. And then you've got the Saturn cycles and Chiron to kick off the end of the month or to close out, to bring a whole, enchilada to it, wrap it all up like a little cabbage roll. Here's the ground beef, here's the onions, here's the green pepper, here's some cabbage, here's some other things. And now we're going to wrap it all in that cabbage leaf. As a reference, I don't know why they're giving this, but you can consider July to be the cabbage roll. And you can consider the cosmos to have wrapped all of you inside of it to really see what's in the cabbage roll. So that when you cut through it, all the stuff you don't need doesn't need to come with you. And they're saying it's kind of like many people will feel that, as the metaphor of the cabbage roll, that you were unraveling and all your stuff was falling out. Oh, I lost some ground beef over here. Oh, I lost some rice over there. Oh, I lost a tomato or a pepper. Like, why isn't my roll keeping me tight in my energy and what I want, what I want to manifest? I can see you belly laughing. That's what they're showing me. It's like, as a metaphor of a cabbage roll. Think about a cabbage roll. You got all these different ingredients, and you got the beef, which is your protein and your meat. You got the rice, which is your grain. You've got the vegetables. You've got all these different ingredients, but they all go together, and it's that outer layer of the cabbage leaf that holds it all together. So July is kind of like the cabbage leaf was the cabbage leaf of us as human beings coming apart and all our stuffing going in different places. And when it goes out different places or when things aren't aligned, it's like, oh, I see that now. I couldn't see it because it was so deep in me and I'm looking outside. I'm not looking inside. But now that my energy's coming undone, this idea is unraveling, that betrayal's suddenly poking about, this old thing I've been dealing with my whole life is suddenly showing up left, right, and center. It's because our cabbage roll is unraveling and we're going to be shifting into a new type of a cabbage roll that really isn't even a cabbage roll. So it's almost like all that tightly wound stuff was unraveled through July. And what do we find when we begin unraveling? Underneath it all, we find the truth, unabashed, absolute truth within us. And oftentimes we don't necessarily see the truth. We can't be accountable for the truth. We can't choose something different because we got all those other ingredients stuffed on top of us. And then we packaged ourselves in this little cabbage roll of a human being. Did you like that metaphor, Anna?
Yes.
I don't know why it's coming through like that. It's really traditionally a fall food, I guess you could say, but I love cabbage rolls and I haven't had them in a long time, which now makes me want to have a cabbage roll because they're so good. Homemade cabbage rolls, so good. So, and they're using, I would say I'm using that metaphor, but that was just gifted to me as a vision or visually. This is what's been going on. They're saying, because if you, as a metaphor, as human beings, are too wrapped in your leaf for too long with things that you have outgrown that aren't conducive for the new beginning, well, we must unravel it. We must unpack it so that you may see who it is that's starting this new beginning. So if we were to look back and connect the dots of July, massive endings have happened. Maybe there's beginnings. Maybe there's been false starts to new beginnings. Maybe there's been a complete pivot for some people in terms of where they want to go, what they want to do, and what their pathway is. Everybody's going to be different. Maybe it's shit just crumbling apart and not working, life falling apart. I feel like everybody has something different that they've experienced. But these are all indicative of your new beginning has already begun in the energy, and we're unraveling anything not aligned with it, because you can't have the beginning if you don't have the endings. In fact, a beginning doesn't even exist unless we define an ending. And if there is to not be an ending, well, there cannot be a new beginning, but there will be a continuation of an old cycle. But nobody's here for that. And I'm hearing too bad, so sad, too late, can't go back. Too bad, so sad, too late, can't go back. We're moving forwards. Align, just align. That's all you got to do. All you got to do. Interesting, interesting, interesting. July for me, I know as well, has had incredibly magical moments. It's been incredibly busy for me. I've had a lot of fun this month. I've had a lot of WTF moments this month. This month has been life changing. And it's so interesting, Anna, because I knew at the beginning of July that this shift this month, the way we were operating, would not survive this shift. It can't, because that version can't operate in the new beginning. New things requires new versions, requires new thoughts, requires new emotions, requires new perspectives, requires new vibrations. Those who are in this process, right? We will not survive this current shift, meaning not physically like I'm physically dying, meaning I am dying a death to a version of myself that was part of an old cycle that allowed it to continue with an imbalance in the cause and effect, or the results or the expectations, or an imbalance to the masculine feminine energy within and without, right? There's all these dynamics that play out because Chiron, your deepest core wound, is always, you can't have a wound unless it's related to something or someone. Everything, right? I bumped my knee on a table and now my knee hurts. Well, I needed the table to be able to get the hurt. It's the same with people. And I feel like through childhood and through these things, we almost embody and get permeated with these ideas of who we are. A wound to me, Anna, like if I were just to kind of spread this out across all the years of sharing messages from spirit, the wound can only exist relationally. There has to be a circumstance, a person, something for you to engage with that is not in alignment with your core truth, that you engage with, and it impacts you, which creates the wound. So, in effect, the wounds are never ours. They're the result of the impact of an energy that's not aligned with our soul's core truth. But I also feel like that puts us in a very empowered position to be like, wait, I feel like I'm unworthy because I've been relating with people, and I've been raised maybe with people, or I've only engaged with people who also feel unworthy, and we're just projecting our wounds back and forth, and that's how we relate to each other. It's not even mine. It's not even theirs. We're like collective ancestry holding all these wounds, distortions, limitations, and imbalances for what? In this way, I feel like that empowers us. Like anytime I channel with Chiron, that is the message. The reason that the wound is where the light gets in is we begin to discover it is only a wound if you choose to see it that way and you accept the projection or the idea of what the wound represents. If you can illuminate, detach, step back, recognize you are all relating to each other in different ways with your own limitations and your own hurts and your own expectations, it is inevitable that you will wound each other when the left says this and the right says this. You are meant to have differing opinions, but find a way to cohabitate or co-live or co-create without the necessity or the need to stomp on another, to annihilate another, to wound another because we feel like we're less than. It's almost like that's the thing that's really being illuminated, I guess you could say, for a lot of people. Collectively, you can see it on the earth plane, the shit that's going on is just wild. But also on an individual level, in our families, in our friend groups, in our communities, there's all these things being illuminated. And Chiron is very to the point. A wound can only exist if you have something to relate to that represents or holds a vibration that's not in alignment with your true core nature. Sometimes we hold on to wounds that sabotage us, that take away from us and keep us dimmed, chained, bound, and less than. Other times we have wounds where we see the wound and we utilize it, we catalyze it, we transmute it, we alchemize it, and then we become more and stronger because of it, which is truly the story of the wounded healer of Chiron. It really is. As an asteroid, like speaking cosmologically, cosmology maybe, but if you were to look at actually Chiron as an asteroid, it's not one thing, it's two things. Chiron holds two different energies. One is like I'm seeing it's like a static, and one is a swirling. One's like a vortex and one's a static. So Chiron is considered to be an asteroid, but actually it's a comet and an asteroid. It's two different energies all happening at the same time. So if you look at all the centaurs in terms of astronomy or anything like that, a centaur exhibits asteroids and comets, which are two very different types of energy. And I'm just going to read this here because I'm looking it up now, and it does say observations of the centaurs and Chiron reveals it had a comet-like coma, which is a fuzzy cloud of gas and dust, therefore reclassified as a centaur because it also has icy bodies orbiting between the asteroid and the Kuiper belts of it. It carries a comet designation, but is also an asteroid. It's two things in one. And what is the centaur? It's half man, half horse. What is it called? It's a healer, which implies lovely, wonderful healing energy, but it's the wounded healer, which implies all the icky, dark stuff. So shadow and light all together. So there's all these dynamics that you can kind of begin to connect the dots when we look back at July, having Chiron close out the month to initiate our new beginning, understanding that all the things that have taken place, all the major, massive planetary shifts that have happened in July, all speak to the process of healing this wound in Chiron that we all have had in some way, shape, or form, because we all relate to each other in some way, shape, or form with our own limitations, our own wounds, our own ideas, our own concepts, our own beliefs. It's inevitable that, there's going to be some, I don't want to say dysfunction, but discomfort, some friction, some misunderstanding, some miscommunications, some deep diving into each other. Like sometimes banter, I feel like, is intended like in debates, right? Sometimes that stuff propels, allows for an evolution for greater concepts to be understood by us as human beings. Maybe it's greater compassion. Maybe it's a greater understanding. Maybe it's opening the door to experiencing something, because we only can ever understand something that we already know. And these are meant to be debates and conversations and shifts that open us up to things that we don't know. And that's what expansion is. It's expanding into the unknown beyond what you have known. And when you're talking about deep ancestral things we've held, wounds that we've lived with us of unworthiness or fear or betrayal or shame or lack or projections, whatever it is, to live with those for decades upon decades, and to have it through your family lineage, and to suddenly come to the point where we're like, oh, right, we're just going to transmute that whole familial line, and I'm doing it right here in me. That's a lot, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, and physically. Think about how many people are born and we have DNA genetics. Oh, my parents had this, so I'm genetically predispositioned to it. What are you actually genetically predispositioned to? And I'm not a doctor, so I'm not here to claim anything as this, that, or the other thing. Obviously, if any of our viewers have any issues with medical things, I highly encourage you to reach out to a licensed medical physician and have that addressed and explore that if that's what you need to do. But if we were to look at DNA, we naturally have the capacity as human beings, the body, this is proven, scientifically proven, for, I want to say, different genetic things, atoms and particles in our body. So think about like cancer, right? Cancer is one cell that just grows onto the other cells or brings other cells and goes together and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's how I would loosely describe cancer, because I obviously that's not my expertise and I don't truly know that. This is just how it's coming through intuitively. it's like permeates and duplicates and replicates and attaches things to it. It becomes this quantum entanglement of a negative energy that permeates your body. And it just grows and grows. It duplicates, it compounds like a compound interest. It's the same thing for positive. You can do the same thing for the positive. But notice in this world, we are so conditioned to look at the worst case scenario, to assume the worst about other people, to separate other people from us, to maintain our wounds, to project a negativity. We're conditioned and ingrained to do those things. What do you think that compounds to? More and more and more of all the lack, scarcity, unworthiness, unvalue, more wounds, all these things. This is a gross, big topic, but I feel it's relevant and of value to see it from that greater perspective. And Chiron is not here for the little nitty itty gritty, itty bitty gritty, whatever you want to call it. Chiron is here to say the deepest core collective wound is underneath all of that. That's just the surface. That's just the symptom. If you go down to the core of it, you're going to discover exactly where it is that you're healing, what you're letting go of, what needs to be rebalanced. And it's not an easy process. Well, I didn't expect to roll with Chiron or to talk about those things. And again, I just want to reiterate, I am not a licensed physician, so I am not offering you anything like a diagnosis, an opinion, or anything like that on it. I'm just offering some perspectives that are also well known and put into a container where it can illuminate something for somebody on here. I trust that when something comes out like this, it's for a reason for somebody. But when we open to the unknown, like, well, what if you could heal it this way? And what if the body can do this? And what if I'm not predispositioned to those because I act differently, my energy is different, and I'm healing and I'm whole? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's these dynamics that we have to expand into the unknown and stop being afraid of it. We have to stop seeing everything from what was or the lens of the wounds. Go to whatever that is because it's all relational. Wounds are relational. And recognize everybody's got a wound here. Everybody's got a distortion. Everybody's got something that they're seeing through the lens of. Everybody has certain beliefs or ideations they were conditioned to. Everybody has certain experiences, circumstances that have shaped and molded them and really created those dirty lenses or the distortions. Yeah, they're saying go back to the cabbage roll, Anna. They're saying now you could perceive that in the ingredients of the ground beef and the rice and the onions and the bell peppers and the seasoning, notice that each of them is very different, but they all move together as one. The actual anatomy of the body is the exact same. The heart has a specific function. For the heart to not beat properly does not mean that the other areas of the body can't work properly. What happens is all the other areas of the body begin to compensate for the heart not being able to operate at its appropriate level or in a healthy way. This is what causes the breakdown of all the other facets in the body because everything starts to slow down because one main organ isn't working the way that it needs to. Now, think about this in this terms, in this way of the cabbage roll. Say the liver. The liver doesn't function properly. Well, that's your filter. It deals with frustration and anger. Every organ is attuned to spiritually and speaks to a different aspect of the human being, the psyche, emotions, and different things. This is well known in traditional Chinese medicine and many other ancient cultures. The connections between the body, the emotions, and the mind, they are one thing, but they're all operating separately. My mind has a certain role. My body has a certain role. My emotions play a certain role. But when you bring all these together, you start to see the connections of how my emotion imbalance here is affecting my body in this organ here. And my thoughts about this over here is compound interesting. That's a financial term. Compound interesting this negative feeling and this negative cycle. Well, Saturn's in retrograde. Are you darn sure you want to keep thinking that thought? You want to keep going that way. You want to keep holding on to that thing that you wish had happened but didn't. Are you darn sure you want to hold on to these denser things? Because we're going to show you why you're holding on to it, what was the cause of it, And why, says Chiron? So that you can release the wound and remember your wholeness. Technically, none of you are wounded. You've only taken these lenses, these wounds, these ideas, these circumstances, these interactions that happen relationally, and taken in projections or permeated through with others' lenses and distortions and wounds. When you begin to realize not one wound is yours, and any wounds you've created in others is a result of wounding within yourself, because every last one of you has forgotten that you are all whole. You do not need to wound others. It is simply the nature of the compound interest that happens through the ancestral lineages and the current constructs of the earth plane and consciousness.
So good.
Does that make sense to you? It makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does. I since we are talking about July, I had a visit home with my parents,
Mm-hmm.
and while you were talking, I was remembering my mother, which has been one of my biggest teachers in this life, and she has this wonderful thing where she suddenly sees something in me that I actually do, or something I say that she deems not to be okay. And it comes really random, and then she comes up to me and delivers it straight up. And that has always just, because you get it so like smack in the face, I get so angry. And I got angry this time as well because I felt it to be unfair, which
Mm-hmm.
she said. I did not recognize myself in what she presented, but I pulled away because there's nothing to discuss.
So good, Anna. Nothing to discuss because I don't perceive it that way. That's simply your projection of trying to make sense of how you and I can make sense so she can feel good about it, or
Yeah,
feel not good about it, but maintain a status quo of what she knows. I do this and I act like this and I say this to maintain that because that's what I know. And wow, and you just literally stepped up to the plate and was like, yeah, that's not even open for discussion because that's not about me, that's about you.
yeah. But of course it did stung because it's
Oh,
my
yeah.
mother and you don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have started to know my body pretty well. It has a lot of different ways to signal to me that I need to take a break, and especially my shoulders. I had so much pain in my shoulders before. I thought I had some
Mm,
disease going on, but no, no. And I've been working a lot with the grief, and especially my left shoulder. It will start to speak to me when I have not been paying attention. And while visiting my parents, I had a lot of pain in my shoulders. I now thankfully have a lot of somatic exercises I can do. I do EFT tapping. It works wonderful. And also I get pain in the top part of my stomach. And before I recognized what it was, I thought I had some food allergies. There was something I couldn't, I could literally not eat. If I was fasting, I did not have a pain, but just the first sip of coffee or first bite of food, I would get like intense cramping. And this was just in the start of me recognizing that my body is a vehicle for something bigger.
right.
I sat in meditation and connected in, and my body showed it like almost like a quiet river in the middle of just a plain field. And when everything was going as it was supposed to go, it was a green field. The river was flowing peacefully by. There was sun in the sky. But now a lot of stones have sort of been just thrown into the river. So it was damming up and the water could not flow.
That's such a good visual for that.
And it made so sense when I saw it. So I
Yeah.
started again with the EFT tapping and with some somatic exercises with some yoga and to literally just sit with it. It started to ease up. So it's interesting to be back home, a place that in my childhood was such a safe place.
Mhm.
So
And to feel the
unknowing.
energetic weight of it, right? That was a safe place, but a safe place with limitations on what safety was.
Yeah, to
Mhm.
see it like and going back there, it's so strange and it's so sad and
Aw.
oh, everything.
Yeah, I hear you. Thank you for sharing that, Anna, because that speaks to a dynamic that so many people experience. And just speaking as a feminine, I know, like, in my family units, the feminine holds a certain role that's conditioned and has a certain expectation. And they've had certain wounds that they've come in with through their own experiences. And the weight on the shoulders and the left side, specifically pain, and also the upper abdomen, all speaks to bearing the weight of others and not having the personal power to say, I'm accountable for me and I'm not accountable for you. And that's hard to do in family units where that's been your role and that's what you were molded to be, right? To suddenly come back. But it is a gift for everybody because when we stand up in that and see that, like, this is one of the most deep, transformative, self-reflective, inner shift time frame July was than probably any other month this month. And I say that lightly because I feel like this entire year, 2025, really is illuminating, it's shifting things all in the underpinnings, the subconscious, the foundations of collectively and individually. This year is the beginning of a lot. And Chiron is retrograde until beginning of 2026, I want to say, or maybe the very end of 2025. I'm pretty sure it's the beginning of 2026. But it's a lot. And we all have things with our families and dynamics where we're hurt by them and maybe we hurt them, and it's because everybody's coming from their own inner lens or perception of who they think they are, what they think they are, what they think somebody else should be, which will maintain who they think they are. And you know what I mean? There's like all these quantum entanglements, and it's all relational. It's fascinating. So thank you for sharing that because that really illuminated as well tools, right? I use those tools too. That's what I did. I need to sit down and meditate. I need to sit down and breathe. I need to go down to the beach. I need to go play. Those for me are also indicators. And for me too, Anna, I always find my body, the more I am present in my physical body, the more I'm able to sense where something isn't quite right. That's also I sense external energies coming towards me. It's yes, it's my energy that's sensing it, my aura and computing it, but it's my body that actually is part of that sensory modality. So like the aura, sometimes we think of it as, oh, it's energy outside of me. No, that energy is coming from the inside of you beaming out, which creates the auric field and all the layers. This dynamic for me makes the most sense. It's not separate from me. I am the body inside of me is where all of it is connected to. Think about when you have a wound, when you're wounded in childhood, your auric field literally inverts into itself, creating a direct line into you because your body's naturally and energy is trying to protect itself. So you create this like funnel of an inversion into the whole of your energy, which allows whatever that wound is to keep streaming into the inside of you. This is why we say we heal from the inside out, because if I heal it from inside of me, I then begin shining light and pushing it out. So there is no more whole terror weakness in the auric field. And there's no inversion of my energy. I can go back to radiating it outside of me because it's whole within me. So these are just dynamics and relationships of energy as we relate to it to the self and our own energy. And sometimes how we perceive energy to be outside of us. Like it's way out on the edge of my auric field that I begin to understand or sense that somebody's coming towards me, somebody's projecting at me, somebody wants to engage with me, somebody wants to send me an email. I feel that way on the outfield of my auric field, But first, it comes through the different layers of the auric field, right? Because they're each attuned to the different chakra energy centers. And there's so many different teachings and ways of looking at it. This is only one, but it is one that allows us to understand that healing from the inside out, it only makes sense, including your energetic field. You know what else is interesting, Anna? Ava. So most people don't know this, but in the month of July is actually when Ava passed away. It's her anniversary. It's not typically something that I put heaviness to or lightness to in either way. That's the day she left the body and went home to spirit. And that's always a cause to celebrate being at one with the divine for anyone. So it's interesting because just tapping into that, because that's the month of July too. And grief can create deep wounds. And sometimes grief is a result of the deep wound or the loss or the thing that happened that we didn't think should have happened that way, right? That's all part of that wounding process. And grief is the process of healing the wounds of loss and all those things. So if we were to look at this aspect of the body, like she had a heart condition and she went through heart surgery, which was successful. After she had her heart surgery, we were sent home with nurses that would come in, and the incision place on her chest where they had opened her up to do the heart surgery, that split open. When we got home, it split open. And of course, here's me. I'm a newborn mom with a child who's just had heart surgery. I know nothing about nothing. I'm very afraid. It dehyst is what they call it. I don't know what to look for. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. So they had nurses that would come in. At first, it was every other day or every day to come in and clean and pack the wound. But then it was actually my job to clean and pack this wound that she's had this heart surgery for, that I know nothing about, that I'm trying to do exactly the right thing. But it's scary. It was scary. But the interesting thing is, when I went back to the cardiologist and the surgeon and all that, the cardiac surgeon, and I said to them, like, why are we packing stuff into it? Shouldn't we be closing it up and restitching it? Because I don't know this stuff. It's a legitimate concern as a parent with a newborn child who's just had heart surgery and is not at the hospital, in my mind. And they said, the body actually heals from the inside out. So we pack it to keep it clean, because what's going to happen is the muscle that they've cut through underneath, the body will naturally build up and out from the deepest core of the wound. It will begin the healing there. The muscles will begin to heal back together. Then the overlay will come back together. And then the skin. We don't stitch things up to close it back up to put it together. That's not how healing happens. The intention of that is to ensure that it heals nicely and easily and nothing gets in. But because of the way that the wound happened, because of the surgery, because of dehissing, clearly they didn't feel it was appropriate or the need to reclose it up. Instead, they allowed the air to get at it. They asked me to just keep cleaning it and keep packing it. And slowly but surely, they were right. The place I was packing in the wound, it was like I had to pack less and less and less. It was from the bottom up. It was healing it. And this never occurred to me at the time, because I just thought, oh, you stitch something up, you got to close it up if you want it to heal. But the body naturally heals from the inside out. Our emotions can naturally be healed from the inside out. Our energy naturally is healed from the inside out. Our reality is perceived from the inside out. Everything is from the inside out, including healing of the wound in a body. And that's the same with the energy field we just described too, right? That when we have a wound or a trauma, the auric field or the energy field that is part of us inverts to protect itself, but inadvertently creates this stream through, or a funnel, or kind of like a conduit where things can continue to stream through that are associated with what we're trying to protect ourselves from by inverting and closing into the energy. Versus, working on the inner self allows us to begin to unpack that and create strong energetic fields, strengthen our aura, strengthen our body. They're all talking. They all operate in similar ways, and they all help the other operate appropriately. I feel like I just went on a tangent. But those are all things that I attune to, that I understand spiritually, that I've experienced energetically. It's part of clearings that I've done with people. It's part of some of the things that I have learned from other teachers along the way. And it's just bringing all this stuff kind of together to explain it and explore it, where it's not like the energy is separate from the body and the body is separate from the mind and the mind is separate from the heart. Like, they are separate mechanisms, but they're all meant to work together, and they're always going to work together, whether it's for the positive or the negative, whether they're in conflict with each other, whether the heart is aligned with the mind or not is irrelevant. They're both still mechanisms operating in your field. We want to align and get into order and heal all this stuff inner, whether it's the body, the mind, the spirit, the emotions, the energy. And it doesn't matter which one you come to either. Like, maybe you start with the body. Guess what? The more you start working on your body and really getting that into order, your mind's going to start shifting and your emotions will shift. Your spiritual perceptions, or what you're open to, or understandings or teachings or wisdoms, begins to expand, because one of the things that makes up the facet of who we are is really being, I'm seeing it's like being needed. It's being, the energy of it's being moved. It's being tended to and nurtured in a different way. Thus, everything else will begin to take that process too, whether slow or fast is up to the individual and their specific soul plan. But it's the same with spiritually and energetically. It's the same with doing mindset shifting. Some people focus on mindset shifting, and that shit works wonders for them, like changes their world. But guess what? When you start shifting your mind in this most positive way, your emotions naturally shift with it. They're connected. Your body naturally changes with it because it's connected. Your spiritual understandings will begin to have, like, I'm seeing like little doors begin to open a crack to other understandings. Now that you're moving differently and you're thinking differently, there's a much more expanded spiritual energy, perception, view, belief, concept, idea, and experience that's suddenly available to you because you worked on one thing. And I feel like sometimes we feel like shame, judgment, doubt that we don't have everything in our lives all together. But listen, man, Rome was not built in a day. Like, I've had my entire life crumble all at the same time. All of my finances, my physical health went down the drain. All my relationships left. I was suicidal. I've lost a daughter. There was like all this stuff happened in this one cycle of time, one after the other. You don't come back from those things by trying to do it all. You do one thing. First, we got to focus on the body so I can even get up. Start working on the body. Once we start working on the body, then we're going to start working on the emotions and the mind. And then we're going to move in the spiritual realms. It was like each little thing played a role in the healing because they're all what make you whole. So to work on one thing automatically leads us to wholeness. And it doesn't matter which one you come to. I've seen people do it from all different facets. Not one way is wrong. All paths lead home, and they're all interconnected. And yes, some people are brilliant in one area and not in another. That doesn't mean that they're not operating in their wholeness. It simply means that they have a dominant area that they're going to help a lot of people with, or they have that strength because there's people they'll engage with who need that strength. It's like that interdependence, right? Rather than narcissistic and codependency, it becomes interdependent because both are independent. We're really diving into a lot here, sister.
Mm-hmm. We are. Thank you for sharing about Ava.
Oh, thank you for listening.
There's two things I want to talk about. We talk a lot about the body now, about how the body is responding to different things that we experience. The first thing is I am in the ending in the beginning of something, and I'm trying to manifest the house. And when you daydream more than manifesting, you think, when I have that thing that I want, I am going to do such and such. I'm going to be so good at cleaning my house. I'm going to have the most beautiful flowers. I'm going to make home cooked meals and everything. I understand it when other people say, yeah, but why do you have to wait until you have the house to do those things? And yeah. I know you're saying that, but I will not do it. But this summer, something did shift.
Yeah.
So now I make my bed every morning. I make take some extra time to make myself a better cup with coffee, to sit down, to buy beautiful flowers to have in the living room, doing how I wish how I dream of having it when the time comes.
And that's when the dream becomes a reality, thus opens the doors to manifesting the physical, tangible thing that's in alignment with the energy of the reality. If we're always looking, oh, I'll do it. If I have that, I would do this and I would be that, but I'm not doing it for me now, means you're never going to reach that because you're not willing to do it for you now. But you need to be the person who does that in order to be on that timeline. It's like this, oh, yeah. And the body
Yeah.
has to do with it. You have to be willing to do those things prior to. And
Mm.
they're not big things. They don't cost you money. They don't, you know what they cost you? An idea, perception, and a way of being. You want to manifest something? You're going to have to sacrifice a certain way of being or a certain way of thinking in order to embody the way of thinking and a way of being of whatever it is you want to manifest, because that's the vibrational alignment. That's the law of vibration. That's one of the primary laws. Fascinating. I found the same
Yes.
thing, Anna. The more I really dedicated into, and no, I'm not waiting. Like, I buy myself fresh flowers all the damn time because I love them. And I just love flowers and I love buying them. I love having them here. That's just how I've always operated. I've always been like that and loved gardens. But doing the action of actively going out and buying myself flowers on the regular is something I had to actively change and get into. And that changes the tone of my day. When I sit at my desk here and I've always got beautiful fresh flowers of whatever color I want and whatever type of flower I want when I want, it's a beautiful thing, refreshing thing to look at. And who doesn't want to sit to fresh flowers every day? And blooms, unless you got significant pollen or allergies. But anyways, for the rest of us, it's blooming, right? And that signifies you're blooming. You're blooming because you're receiving the sun. Receiving, notice it's to do with receiving. Yeah, I clean my house, but what am I actually receiving? Feeling good, feeling order, feeling peace, having alignment of energy.
Hmm.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And also, I've had a big, like a barrier towards doing yoga the last
Mm.
couple of months. And I didn't understand why. I thought I was just like being lazy. But I'm seeing now it's because my body is ready to go through the things it needs to shed. And I need to do the yoga because my body is in pain at the moment because of the things that are sort of swirling around ready to go out. And I I am scared to do it. I know I can hold myself. I know I'm capable of handling what will come up, but it's just the uncomfortableness that I know it will be, and to like willingly move into it.
It's a lot.
Yeah, struggle.
It's a lot. Yeah, I hear you, sister, and yeah, I think we all get into funks every once in a while where we eat things that aren't good. We stop looking after ourselves. We stop doing physical exercise, or we don't feel good all of a sudden, or suddenly we have this bout of super negative thinking. So, and I do feel like it's an internal thing, but I also feel like you have to remember the collective consciousness is a collective consciousness, whether you are aware of that or not. When there's huge, massive upheavals in the collective consciousness through great or big areas of the group think in this consciousness, that can impact the other areas of consciousness. It's just like the scales, right? If you've got 10 bricks on one side of the scale and not one brick on the other's going to feel that weight of all the other bricks. You know what I mean? Just as a dynamic. And I'm literally being shown right now that's the underpinning of what's been going on. And they're showing me, oh, I have Lady Isis here taking brick after brick off one at a time. We take one brick off in your energy, you'll notice the scales become a little bit more in alignment. We got to take another one off, we're back into more alignment. But notice that she says, if you were to use the scales of justice, which is simply the scales of balance, and utilize this as an indicator, the stress on the amount of the scale, which is a person, which notice it is two arms out, standing upright, also significant and in alignment with Venusian symbolism, as well as the Ankh. There's all these different things that you can actually connect it to. The Petruvian man, right? The scales of balance require two sides, but on either side of it, what is in the middle? It's the balance. So they're saying they're taking, as they take one brick off, because the stress on that scale, it's naturally going to start to bend and yield over to the heavy weight of it. But they're showing me we take one brick off at a time. If we take them all off at the same time, not only will you not find balance, but things will be in such chaos that you can't do anything. So we do one brick at a time. Maybe one brick is the body, one brick is the mind, one brick is whatever, but it's a lot. And I just keep hearing, if you could think of yourself as the tree, doesn't get enough rain, doesn't get enough sunlight, other trees are crowding it out, doesn't have enough ground space. It's very difficult for it to have the balance to grow in a healthy, rooted way and expand in a healthy way. It's the same for the golden scale that Isis is showing me. The scale gets bent, and when things are out of order and the scales are imbalanced, it naturally impacts the center point of the scale, because technically it can only hold so much of a burden on one side, right? Until it gets to the point where the pins are coming out on that side of the scale. The steel is becoming a little bit bent and warped from holding the weight for so long of that imbalance. This is just what naturally happens in a physical way to physical objects, depending on the object, of course. But they're saying this is why we're utilizing people as the metaphor of the scale. All right, we've used cabbage rolls, we've used a tree, and we've used the scales of justice and the Petruvian man as the main center frame or structure of the body, and also the physical body being the structure for the vessel of all your divine energy and expression to go through. They're all interwoven and can be connected. Again, I got Steve Jobs, that quote that he said that was so famous, right? You can't connect the dots looking forward because there's unknowns at play. You can't predict every outcome because there are unknowns. But when you turn around and look back after you've been willing to go into the expandedness, you can start connecting the dots. That's why I was feeling like that. That's why this went this way. This is why I have this wound. This is why I'm experiencing this. You can connect the dots looking back. And I really feel like that's really why you and I both agreed to, in this episode, it was really important to recap July. If we truly understood the amount of shifts that we were going through, and I mean a lot, like there was like half of each brick taken off for some people. Some people literally had 5 bricks taken off and they only got one there. Everybody's going to be different, right? Somebody had their bricks crumbled into sand, I'm seeing. Everyone's is different. But July was one of the most life-changing, changeling, life-changing, altering. It's like a mix of changing and altering. That's what it is. I don't know why, but I'm mixing changing and altering together for a reason. They're saying it's both ands. When you change something within you, the mind, the body, the energy, the heart, or the spirit, you alter the trajectory of the timeline and the pathway and the life. Destiny is no longer one thing. To change something creates an alteration and or alters those timeline pathways to realign us to a higher timeline. And what I mean by higher timeline is a timeline where we're in a greater presence of the self-empowered, and feeling rooted and grounded and have the ability and personal will to create what we want to create, but also have the resilience and flexibility to create a new in the expanded and in the unknown. We have to change who we are. And it's not changing who we are, it's changing who we think we are, which alters the trajectory or the pathway of our destiny and our future and our entire lived reality in the present moment. I really enjoyed this talk, Anna. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It was so good after July.
Right? It's like, what? I'm ready for August, baby. Got through it. We're standing at the other side. We're looking back. We're connecting dots. And I don't know about you, but that's really what it feels like. Like, hello, August, right? It's Leo season. I love August because it's like the heat of the summer where I live. And it's just a beautiful time of the year. And yeah, hello, August is what I want to say that. And actually, this episode will air on August the 1st, which is the
Oh,
first day of August.
beautiful.
So, hello, August. Goodbye, July. Thank you for all your lessons. Thank you, Chiron, for showing me how they got created. We've just been through a whole whirlwind through this month of July with massive changes and shifts that have impacted us in ways that we're consciously aware of and unconsciously. And let's do this, friends. I'm ready for the new beginning to begin in that physical, tangible form.
Me too.
All right. Let us know, beautiful souls and listeners. Are you ready for that too? Did you feel like July was kind of like I want to say a shit show is how I'm sensing it for a lot of people. And I totally get it. Ups and downs and highs and lows and magic and weird things and friction and obstacles and alignments. There's just all the things. July was all the things. Let us know in the comments, beautiful listeners. And Anna and I will catch you in the next episode because you are a goddess and this is your life.